Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back. I'm titling the I'm titling this video as "You Can't Hide Your Spyin' Eyes," though it's to the tune of "Lion Eyes" by the Eagles. And I had an interesting experience earlier because I decided I was like, I want to listen to that song. I haven't listened to it in a long time. And I've always kind of been a person that liked to look up lyrics. I like to look up and see if the artists wrote down anything about what they really wrote the song about, as opposed to like what we think the song was about, or what emotion or memory or experience that we come up with. And I've learned a great number of things, though. Over the past few years, the spiritual journey, twin flame journey, things like that, I have really learned to look up the lyrics of things. There are a lot of messages from your spirit team, from friends, from loved ones, from, you want to know something, like spirit can use music to communicate all sorts of things. And so I wasn't surprised to find myself somewhat surprised to like listen to this story. Like if you read the lyrics or put on a video that has the music with the lyrics of a song that's been coming to you, like think about how does that resonate in your life right now, and that could be telling you something. And so Lion Eyes, so it's effectively the story. I haven't looked up the artist meaning, but this is the way the lyrics go. The story of a woman who married an old rich man, thinking that what she really wanted was a big mansion and all this stuff and lots of money. But she found that he was cold and disconnected and typically had a glass of whiskey in his hand more often than her. And so then what the chorus is, pretty much about is like she goes to the cheating side of town to find a young man that she's known since high school, and like it's interesting because by the time you get to the end of the song, it seems like she doesn't have either of them after that. And like it seems like it goes from someone who's like, she can't hide her lion eyes that she's cheating, and then later she can't hide that she's not happy even from the young man that she went to school with. Like he calls her out on it, and by the end of it, it's kind of like, you can't hide your lion eyes that you're miserable, and that the things that you keep thinking that are going to make you happy don't, because and for me that's one of those, because you keep looking outside yourself. But it also, to me, in many ways is kind of the karmic story, you know whether male or female, and twin flames are also karmics too. Like we're all in all things and in all parts, and you know the deal. And but it's definitely that one, like when we're looking for externals. But the reason that I am calling this video "You Can't Hide Your Spyin' Eyes" is because that's what I heard before I started thinking about a song. Like I heard the tune, but I heard "You can't hide your spying eyes," and it was very interesting to think about that, because I believe it was Divine Maverick did a video some months ago. I don't know how many months ago. I want to say it was more than 2, I think, where she was talking about her DM had moved nearer to her, but was pretending not to be anywhere near, not to know, not to know anything. And she was having fun in the video talking about, yeah, yeah, all right, sure, but that's not you. And there's been some recent things that have happened with my DM that are kind of a similar wavelength. And I also got a reading done recently by one of my longtime trusted readers in the local area. And she confirmed something for me that I'd been thinking about, which is, in general, if you've been following along my channel, there are generally always pirates who are looking and spying and checking in on things of this end. You might even resonate with some of that, though this felt like something different when, she confirmed that there's spying going on. And what's interesting is I noticed it's not just me, like it's like a collective thing. And it makes sense because we have the Scorpio energy. It is Scorpio season, blessed Scorpio season. And like what's funny is the song that I thought that I was going to hear in my head when I thought about, oh, I'm seeing spine from all sorts of places. Like, this is very interesting. And seeing different things going on that are happening that are like, it's like almost too obvious in a weird sort of way. But the song that I thought was Private Eyes, I'm watching you. But what I heard was, you can't hide your spying eyes. And so I feel like the reason that it came to me that way was because there was, the message in the song of it is like thinking about, you can't hide your lion eyes, and you can think about that with, with anybody that you're considering, whether it's somebody that you love and feel separate from, or, you know, any sort of relationship. Like you can see the truth in someone's eyes, and people can see the truth in yours. There really isn't a way to hide it. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, and they are. And if you really look, you can see. In any case, I decided that I would pull some cards. I am keeping this in black screen. It feels like it's related to the recent full blood moon beaver eclipse that we had. Sorry, full beaver blood moon eclipse that we had in Taurus yesterday. Oh, and I also meant to say too, it feels related to recent power outages. Like Scorpio is very Taurus, or sorry, Scorpio is Pluto, so it's very power oriented. And Taurus is another sign that is very much about power, but it's typically more related to the Empress energy. And it feels kind of like we're in a state where there was a lot of shadow storms that got kicked up the end of last year, and then a few more during this year. A lot of, you know, focus on karma and accountability and things of that nature. Very Saturn themes. Um, and it feels like there have been cycles that have gone on where it's like the calm before the storm, but it feels like we're kind of collectively having this feeling of like the calm after the storm. Like now we're looking around, taking account for how many things got damaged in the storm, and what do we got to mend and heal, what things do we got to fix and stuff like that. And it feels like if you're thinking about a particular person in this reading, I'm kind of getting away from labels a little bit, so it could be your DM, could be your DF, could be anybody that you're thinking about in it that's been tangled, um, and in and out of things. It feels like one of those where like there's a whole lot of collective energy that's kind of in the space of like, okay, I realize what I've been doing is not what's going to get me where I want to go. And kind of like the song, you can't hide your lion eyes. Like, feels like a combination of a recognition that, like, when you're not happy, you're not happy because it's from within. It's not the people around you. It's not having money or not having money. And, like, kind of a recognition too of like, okay, like how do I want to be prepared so that when the next storm comes, I feel like I've got what I need, and if possible, how do I avoid another storm, or how do I face enough shadows that I can still see in the dark when the storm comes, sort of thing. And it feels like a lot of people are ending karmic cycles in this, like recognizing like that was more about the lessons learned in it. It wasn't intended to be a lasting thing, and kind of in this like it's like bittersweet. There's like a bittersweet tune that's like, rather than treating current lessons in the same like victimy mindset that lessons were learned in before, it's more like, okay, like I've learned this lesson before, and it may not feel great, but I'm getting it, and I'm grateful for what I learned in it. I don't know. it feels like collectively we're all kind of like we went from the great resignation and now we're kind of going into that like, okay, I get to choose what meaning I put into life. I'm going to put a happier one in there because going around these last however many cycles in a negative mindset has certainly not manifested for me what I wanted, right? Now I pulled some cards just thinking like, it'd be nice to know a little bit more about this energy, especially that, like, you can't hide your spying eyes, because that changes the lyrics a bit. And it feels like it's kind of one of those, like, I guess if you're listening to this, you might resonate with, maybe that somebody is keeping an eye on you, or somebody's, making moves on things, and maybe some other people are trying to watch you for catching you doing something uncouth. And I mean, if you're on this channel, you probably aren't doing anything that you need to worry about. And in that case, my advice is just don't worry about it. And as always, if you've got something that you worry that you might try to hide, well, then that's something that, you know, what you're worried about getting caught about is where you need to grow. You know, like if it wouldn't make you proud to see it in the headlines of a newspaper, then why are you doing it? That kind of thing, you know. Anyways, the first card that I got was from my Oracle of Ascendance deck. It's a newer one still for me. I mean, it's over a year old, but like I have not read with it a lot still. And I really like the different symbolism in it. I learn a lot. And what I pulled like almost immediately is Gabura from Sephiroth. And to me, it totally looks like the root chakra, like bright red floating orb. And from the book, it says that it's about strength. And it's also considered to be like, it's funny, it's one of those, it's the cycles of creation and destruction. And it's sometimes known as the destroyer because it's one of those things that like comes in. It's like the storm that just happened here in the Pacific Northwest. Sometimes you have to end cycles in order to begin cycles. And if you didn't have wind, half of the trees and plants would not be as thick and strong as they are. That's what creates the thickness and the strength. Like you have to have contrast, you have to have a little bit of chaos, you have to have a little bit of ego, a little bit of toughness in order to grow, you know? And to me, this card really like leans into one, what I was saying about a lot of karmic cycles are ending. But two, it feels kind of, I mean, especially with this red color, it's very Saturnian, where it's like the cycles are ending because the lessons were learned, like if you've got a loved one who's been in a situation, to like a karmic relationship, and it's been difficult and all over the place, and they pulled you in and out and other people in and out and things like that. It feels like those people are getting to a space where they're recognizing that they needed those lessons, they needed those experiences in whatever ways that you've interacted with them, some that may be tough, some that may have been creating, some that may have been destroying, but like they're recognizing that they needed that growth to get up to where they feel like they could stand next to you. The next card I got was from my Divine Circus deck oracle, which I really like, and it's Lady Luck, number 41. And the immediate feeling that I got when this card came out is the Wheel of Fortune card. And it feels like it's one of those, the world is turning a bit right now. This is kind of a season of things changing. Like if a lot of shadow storms recently ended and we're in that space after the storm, it's kind of cleanup time. And so, there's still going to be some, I don't know, I want to just say spaces in between things where you may not notice like the immediate things that you've been calling in, or the immediate people that you wanted to have right there, but they're coming. And it feels like it's really one of those like, luck is on your side. Lady Luck is right there. And she's saying, you got this. Just find something fun to do in the meantime. The card that I got from Divine Energy deck was number 8, Indecision. And actually, what's funny is what came to mind is the Two of Swords. This one's got Little Red Riding Hood on it, but what came to mind is the Two of Swords, but as if she had already picked a sword. Like a lot of times that card comes to me in a whole different way energetically, and so does this indecision card. Like usually it's like this means that there's a choice to be made, that you can't decide on. And in this case, it feels like you've made your choice, they've made their choice, and you're going to meet at the crossroads sort of thing. It's kind of one of those just have faith. In this card, the figure, she cannot see, like she can't see what's ahead on either side. And if she went through the middle into the woods, she also can't see there, you know? And so it's one of those you just got to keep that faith. Like let Lady Luck lead you, let your intuition lead you, let your heart lead you, whatever direction. Whether this is about a job or a place to live or your twin flame or whatever decision you want to make, and know that those that you want to meet along the way and have travel with you will meet you there. You can have faith in that. And then for my shamanic oracle deck, we get the flute expression, which has really been calling to me lately. Music has been calling to me so much lately. I'm really thinking about getting like I've been retuning my guitar, and I've been thinking about playing with some apps and stuff. It's like coalescing in there. But I do feel like this doesn't have to be music per se, but some sort of expression would be good for you. Like, it could be poetry, it could be journaling, could be vlogging, could be writing articles, could be playing music, could be coming up with a whole new way to play music. It could be um, dance, it could be drawing, it could be doodling, crafting, whatever you want. Whatever feels like an expression of you, whatever helps you like express feelings that don't quite have words yet. And find a way to use that to create feelings that you want to feel, that you can't put into words that explain how you want to feel, but you could play it on the piano, or you could draw it in a picture, or you could scribble it in a doodle, like whatever thing. It also feels like this card, like I'm getting a big image in that a lot of this, spy and eyes energy, like you can't hide your spy and eyes, like it feels like this isn't necessarily it feels, I don't know, because I'm getting two mixed signals. There are some that that are spying, and it's not a bad thing. And there are some that are spying. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you've been, if you keep yourself clean and do your own goodness, then you're fine. Though it's not exactly a good thing either. It's just kind of is. I mean, and like I said before, my general rule of thumb is, if you got people watching you and there are things you're doing that you're worried about them finding out, or that you think could be used against you, well, then that's spirit using those people to show you where it's time to clean up some spaces in your life, like live your life in a way that you feel like, if everybody knew about it, they'd be like, wow, that's impressive, or whatever, whatever feels good to you. I kind of prefer, that's impressive, but like whatever thing feels good to you, like, live your life in that way. But it feels like, with this expression card, it's kind of speaking to that spy and eyes thing, and the music in it, but it's like, so, someone is thinking about expressing more to you, more communication to you, more flowing, you know. Most will think of a Lizzo sync because it's a flute in there, so maybe that's relevant for some of you. And it feels like the others, on the other side of the not so great spying, also want to express some stuff to you that I don't. I mean, it could be for some of you that you'll just know by the music you hear what they would like to express. It could be that others might actually try to express something to you. Um, it could be, what, it's funny. It's Spirit's saying, like, it's working out a lot of those things. You will likely not hear or be around for a fair amount of those expressions, in terms of, those that may have low rumbly things to say. And in the regular Rider Thwaite deck, I got number 19, the Sun, Clarity. Which feels like, if you've got children involved in the picture, that there's good coming for them. There's a lot, there's fun with that. It speaks to the inner child. It also speaks to clarity. So, like, I feel like a lot of this, like, can't hide your spine eyes is still lion eyes. So, there's going to be a lot of clarity, a lot of light brought to those who have been lying. And it also feels like a fair amount of confessions, a fair amount of things that come out that have to do with children, places that have been fogged, places we've been fogged when we were younger. If there's been gaslighting situations, it feels like spirit's like bringing that into the light. Maybe not like right now. It feels like that is kind of what that lady luck wheel of fortune energy is about. Like that's what's currently in process right now. And funny enough, like after I pulled that card, because I was thinking that's probably enough, and but I had realized that I still had some cards in my magic hat that were cards that I wrote, and I thought that I felt some, and I thought, oh, that's odd. I didn't realize I put these in here, and but I was like, no, 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 I feel one. Maybe it's one of my new cards. We'll just see. And what's funny is it actually ended up being a little pink note card that I wrote for myself not long after my DM and I started separation. And it just says, all things are always unfolding beautifully. And on it, I drew two hearts, two medicine wheels, and a key. And I remember when I made that, and it was really just to remind myself, like, I mean, I grew up around a lot of piratey people that were always kind of stuck in the negative of things. And it really did not, I suppose in a way it's kind of like the song. It did not manifest the life that I wanted, being focused just on the negative things. And like, I've always been a person that's all about self-improvement and stuff like that, but that can still take you in a negative direction manifesting wise. I can't say that I've ever felt like living in a mansion would be my thing. And although I've thought about like rich men as partners, it's never really like been enough of an appeal to really pursue it. Not really, because I know me. I'd rather have my feet in the soil in an earthy garden surrounded by stinky animals and a little shack. you know, the land is what's really important in that. I want to be able to walk outside and breathe in the air and see what crazy, cool, artsy, crafty thing I can make before doing some more tarot readings and maybe doing some other sort of Capricornian business as well. Like that, I know that my happiness lies in just being myself and just existing. And it feels like a lot of this energy that we're kind of all collectively feeling right now is kind of that like recognition of that like happiness comes from the self, not from the external, not from partners, not from things like that. And it feels like there's just kind of this big collective, like almost like resting state. And it won't, I'm not predicting for anybody that it's going to just be a big fat rest for the next few months, but it does feel like there's this energy in there of make sure you get your rest. Make sure that you take time for you and just think about you. So for some of you, this could just be for a couple of months. For some of you, it could be 6 or 7 months, I'm sensing. But, like, you don't have to rush things. What you want is coming. Consider it, think about it like as if you ordered something on Amazon. Once you click pay and you've done all that and it says it's on its way, it's on its way. I know typically in that situation you have a date and a time that it's arriving, and for some of you, Spirit has actually given you a date and a time. But either way, like, it's on its way. Treat it like that. It's on its way. Go about your business until it arrives. And I feel called to say, too, like, for some of you, one of the readings that I did, I think a few readings ago, was talking about that sense of like, there's this energy of like, the package will be in your hands before you have confirmation that it's been delivered. Kind of like, when my son had ordered something from Amazon and it got put in his hands, like, a half an hour before the Amazon delivery driver marked it as delivered. Now, if you've already gotten some sort of confirmation like that, it doesn't have to be a physical box in your hands, but Spirit may have brought to you some form of sign or something. And it's one of those like, you have to recognize that as the package in your hands. It's already there. Like, you'll get confirmation that you have it later. Just know that it's in your hands right now. And for those of you that haven't gotten that sign or sync or that thing that you just feel and is the package, it's likely coming. Well, alright, beautiful souls, thank you so much for listening, liking, subscribing, and joining me on this adventure. I will talk to you in the next video.